Yeah, it's hard for me, because I do have people who I know in my life who are Republicans who vote for Trump. And I have, for the most part, somewhat normal conversations with these people, but it's also hard to think to yourself, like, this person votes for Trump and they are completely not only are they okay with it, like they are obviously like proud of the kind of like person that he is. And it's hard to reconcile that sometimes when you know some of these people, but I feel like Trump's level of manipulation over the people who support, or like over the people that support him, I don't even know what to even make of it at this point. But it's really become, I think, a master class in how to brainwash a population. When you hear the way that he like speaks at his rallies, or when he's speaking in interviews, like he has a very precise way of turning anything that's a legit criticism against him into like people like attacking him, or people trying to tear him down, or tying himself to his own followers, saying we're not he's not they're not attacking me, they're attacking us.
Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, fascists indict me, I consider it a great, great, great badge of honor. I do. Because I'm being indicted for you. I am being indicted for you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. But never forget, our enemies want to stop us because we are the only ones who are going to stop them. It takes brave people to stop these radical lunatics. It takes brave people. They're sick people. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. That's what's happening here.
And yeah, I mean, it's I think when we look back at this point in time, like, like 20 or 30 years from now, I hope it's just a blip in time, because if it's not, if it's something that's like a trend of something that's going to be, something that's going to turn into something much darker, then we're really on a bad path, honestly. Like seeing how many people are kind of gravitating towards this man, and somebody could replace him who is a lot more intelligent than he is.
Yeah, but the problem, so there's a light at the end of the tunnel for that, and then there's like a reasoning. Like the reason he has this type of following is partly because he is charismatic. It's like built himself up as charismatic, but also like the Republican people who follow them, like nobody despises them more than Republican politicians. So they're used to this type of to somebody like who does not care about them just saying things that they like to hear. So this is just obviously more of like, he doesn't come out of nowhere. He's built up over a decades period. And as for the bright sides, the man is not like, he's an older guy and he's not in the greatest health. So he cannot live forever. It's like one more election cycle. And as for the people who try to co-opt him and be more like, Ron DeSantis is more dangerous in a vacuum than Trump, because he is more bloodthirsty and more willing to use the state in a effective way. But I don't know who has less charisma between him and Mark Zuckerberg. Like it's the real
Mike
issue
Pence.
is
The answer is Mike Pence.
No, because they're like lizard people. It's like crazy. Like the real thing is not so much that the person who replaces him is smarter, it's that his aides are smarter. Because we're more likely to find an heir apparent closer to like Vivek than it is DeSantis. Like you can have a ghoulish DeSantis like aide, like a Stephen Miller type aide, like a Bannon aide, propping up like an idiot. And that's where the danger is, because I don't think anyone who has his level of charismatic appeal is simultaneously going to be able to be smart enough to like do the damage themselves, because it clashes with itself, because a lot of it has to be just like a break from reality. So I think we're more like the bigger fear isn't just that somebody like him is going to happen. It's that somebody like him and their aides are smarter. Like we really did get lucky that all the people he surrounded himself were just clowns. Like the Jenna Ellises, the Cindy Powells, the
Giuliani.
The Giulianis, the Clarks. Like they're all clowns.
Okay, in 2016 you said that. I'm going to surround myself with only the best and most serious people.
Well, I did do that,
This
and we had
time-
tremendous, look, we had the best economy we've ever had, the
This
world
time-
has ever seen.
Your Vice President, Mike Pence, is running against you.
Yeah.
Your Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, she's running against you. Your former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, said he's not supporting you. You mentioned National Security Advisor John Bolton. He's not supporting you either. You mentioned Attorney General Bill Barr, says you shouldn't be president again, calls you the consummate narcissist and troubled man. You recently called Barr a gutless pig. Your second defense secretary is not supporting you, called you irresponsible. This week, you and your White House called your White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, weak and ineffective and born with a very small brain. You called your acting White House Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney, a born loser. You called your first Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, dumb as a rock, and your first Defense Secretary, James Mattis, the world's most overrated general. You called your White House Press Secretary, Kayleigh Canadian, milquetoast, and multiple times you've referred to your Transportation Secretary, Elaine Chao, as Mitch McConnell's China-loving wife. So, why did you hire all of them?
Yeah.
Like if they had people, like if Bill Barr thought he could have gotten away with helping him overturn the election, he would have done. He just would have. And that's the fear, like that the smarter, more effective evil people behind them
The Eastmans.
are winning. Like that's it. Like they're going to have a figurehead. It's always going to be some kind of goober, but I don't think we're ever going to have to be that. I don't think we're ever going to get to a point where that person is like effective. Like Ron DeSantis does his goddamn like things. He talks like if he could wear a Trump suit, he would. And they hate him. Everybody hates him. Like Ron DeSantis is and has always been a paper tiger based on like the Daily Wire. Like that's it. Like he doesn't exist.
No, they definitely prop him up. You know, it makes me wonder, Erica. You know, is this a good enough rallying cry, or why hasn't it been a good enough rallying cry to get leftists to more or less, like, I guess, come together when you see, I guess, like the danger of someone like Trump and what he poses to the whole country? Like, why hasn't that brought more people on the left together to kind of just recognize what he's doing to everything?
Oh, that fucking question, man. I really, really thought he would present enough of a threat that leftists could put aside some of their differences to coalition build and ensure that we're trying to push the worst vestige or the worst manifestations of fascism out of, our political system. But I think, it's so many leftists are more interested in fighting each other and ripping each other apart than they are in ripping apart the Republicans. And they're more interested in ripping apart the Democrats than they are in ripping apart the Republicans.
Yeah.
It's like the person right next to you, they're more interested in fighting with than they are and then that whole like false equivalency thing where they're saying, oh, everything is fascist now. Every politician in America is fascist. When you do that, you really strip away a lot of the power of these words and a lot of our ability to think through the real dangers that we're facing. You can't just with a broad strokes color everyone a fascist and then think that we're going to just fight everyone. We need to like have targets. We need to know like how we just need to be more targeted in these things. And the leftists are often, I'm one of them, but like oftentimes they're just more interested in fighting the thing that's right in front of them instead of the thing that's over there that they equate with the Democratic Party,
Yeah, I've seen plenty of people on the left who are constantly more interested in going after other Democrats or going after Democrats than they are going after Republicans.
Yeah.
I mean, there are channels that I have on my subscription list, and that's not a really long list of people who I like follow on YouTube who have successful channels. I won't name names, but their content is geared towards going after the left basically 90% of the time, and the other 10%.
Fuck Jimmy Dore. He blocked me on Twitter. I don't care.
Not Jimmy Dore, but someone who definitely is a Jimmy Dore kind of adjacent. But yeah, I think that sector of like, the left, it's just very odd to me. Like, I'm like, at no point in my mind am I going to sit here and tell you that you're wrong to attack the Democrats. But if it's a 90-10 split between Democrats and Republicans, I don't get it. I really don't. Like, there's no logic to me there. Like, what do you think?
It's easier to attack the party that can do better but doesn't than it is to attack the party that's like outrightly cruel, because everyone can see that they're outrightly cruel, and you don't get any points for pointing out that, hey, you know, maybe not giving kids food and forcing people to carry babies, like everyone can agree it's bad, more or less. But
You would
like,
think.
but you can get better points because it's easier to yell at the why didn't you stop the obviously cruel people from doing bad things, like that. It's easier to yell at the bulwark than it is to the people knocking at the gates. That's why they're like, oh yeah, it's Joe Biden's fault Roe versus Wade fell. It's like, what? No. Like,
I mean, there's a lot of people to blame for that one. I mean, he
yeah.
shares blame, but I wouldn't say he's the only person to blame. That would not be reflective of the history that we know to be true.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. We don't history is a small circle. Like that honestly, like I've talked to this about the pondering about this, and this is it's most evident for COVID, but it is like a very important point. As a conservative thought, like when you're talking to conservatives, you have to understand that time isn't linear. It's basically however they want it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they know when things happen, like they can make an argument for a thing, but it doesn't matter when it happens or who's in charge, as long as you do it. That's like a lot of why their COVID issues were just like so stupid, because they would say, oh, this was a thing during Trump, or they'll argue, oh, just because Ron DeSantis had a 43% higher death toll after the vaccine came out is because of the vaccine or something. Like, it's nonsense. So it's like, it's understanding that time isn't linear. It's whatever you want it to be for that moment in time.